something that I noticed about you during this trip to Park City was that you also are you're very caught up and thoughtful on conspiracy theories. And one that you're very vocal about is this life as a simulation. I don't know. I never know if you're joking or if you're serious about it. Rene Descartes is one of my favorite philosophers of all time. And so him and what's this other guy's name? Hans Moravich have this belief that, or an argument that life could be just a simulation via potentially some hyper intelligent life form on another planet that uses us as, let's say, Sims.
Yeah.
Right. And so you and I right now are being controlled by some little green man.
But when you say controlled, it's like the game Sims. It's like an illusion of free will. It's like you can't actually make the Sims do anything. You can just influence their environment and you can like put them in certain places to like hope that something happens. But you can't like make, I mean, I'm sure all of us as kids, you try to make your Sims like have sex with each other, but like you put them in the room, you take the doors out, like the whole thing.
Right.
But you can't actually make them do that. You can just do all of the things to influence them, but like you can't actually make them do something.
So you don't make them go to the bathroom, you just feed them a lot, right? And then they eventually poop. Is that how it works? Or
well, you can't make them eat. You can just put a lot of food in front of them.
Yeah.
But it's like the Truman Show.
Yeah.
It's like they're not controlling him as a person. They're just controlling everything around him, like all of the people, all of the environment, like the weather. They're like controlling everything, but like they're not actually controlling him. Like they can't tap into his brain and make him do something.
Yeah, and so Jay Alvarez is another person that we've had on the show that talks a lot about this.
What the fuck, man?
About this potential. Sorry about that, brother. It was part of the simulation, dude. Someone made me do that.
I understand.
I didn't make you.
That someone put that in front of my hand while I was moving outwards. Yeah. He's been very vocal about it too, and it's interesting. I mean, listen, like all of this stuff, at the very least, is just a way to challenge your daily thinking and to shake things up a little bit, right? And like, so take us away from the daily grind, you know, the podcast, whatever it is, and get us to open our minds a little bit. But I mean, do you really believe it? Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think if you look at the projection we're going now in society, like everything's becoming more and more in virtual reality and a simulation. Like we are slowly going towards that. So if you think about like where we came from, it's kind of like, it seems like it's a cycle if you think of it that way. And people always are like debate what's the meaning of life and where are we going? Like what are we progressing towards? And we're really progressing towards a simulated reality. If you watch like Ready Player One and movies like that, like science fiction where it's like, okay, eventually we're going to live in this simulated world. So it's kind of like, it almost seems like...
Can you silence your phone?
It almost seems like we're in a cycle, like a Russian nesting doll of simulation. So like the first people, they progress towards making a simulation, then they progress towards making a simulation, until like we're inside this little Russian nesting doll. Like we're going to be the next one to like make a simulated reality. And it's interesting to think like what is the purpose of the simulation? Because there has to be a purpose of like why you would want to create a simulation.
I guess would it be to learn?
To get something out of it. So like in Rick and Morty, there's this really interesting episode where Rick creates an entire miniverse that the whole purpose of society is it's a whole entire like universe, right? And the whole purpose of it is to power his car battery. So then his car battery stops working. So he shrinks himself, goes into the miniverse, and then finds out it's not working because they progressed enough that they made their own simulated reality. Like they made their own miniverse to power so that they didn't have to power the car battery. So it's like, okay, it makes you think like, okay, is that kind of what we're doing?
Yeah.
No,
So
I had this revelation last night. This is crazy.
Yeah.
What if this is true? I could be the smartest man alive.
Let's hear it.
Check it out. You know the nucleus of a cell? The nucleus is the brains, the heart of every single cell. And obviously cells make up everything known to mankind. What if the Earth is the nucleus of a giant cell known as the universe? And it's just strung together in another string of different universes. And
it's called a multiverse.
And we are at the heart of that organism.
What I would say is everything in life is a fractal. So like everything is just a bigger, smaller scale version of something else. So the solar system and an atom they have so many similarities because it's just a fractal of something else. And that goes across everything in nature. Everything mimics each other. So it's like it's like a pattern and you just like change the variables.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it'd be the sun would be the nucleus. We would be the electrons going around.
So
Yes. Exactly.
The Earth.
all of that
the sun.
all that Descartes stuff is like, I think is like fringe theory. Like he's got this dream argument as well that maybe life is us dreaming. And at some point we're going to wake up from that dream and that's actual life. Or when you die, that's when you actually wake up. So that's another one of his theories. But I think those are all like fringe theories. I want to talk a little bit about some that are a little bit closer to home. And I know you know a little bit about HARP.
Yeah.
Or what HARP was, the High Frequency Active Oral Research Program. This was in Fairbanks, Alaska. It was dismantled in, I think, 2016. They said that they were done, they were done with experimenting with their research, and they've now turned it into like a tourist place. You can now go tour the facility. But in its heyday, there have been a number of conspiracies about this place. It's basically a set of very large antennas that pump magnetic or radio waves into the ionosphere, right? To test the effects on weather. Originally, wasn't that what it was?
It's supposed to be like a weather
reading research, right?
And there's a lot of people that think they use it to manipulate weather, and weather manipulation is a thing. And you can enhance clouds, and you can make like weather through cloud seeding. So you spray silver iodine or potassium iodine into the atmosphere.
Is this chemtrails potentially?
Yeah, this is what, potentially. It's like there's a lot of conspiracies behind chemtrails, but basically when they spray these particles into our atmosphere, they act as like a magnet for
precipitation.
Can't talk. To kind of like latch onto. So that way they can like build out clouds. There already has to be some sort of weather to do this, but they can enhance it. So a lot of people think that they would use HARP to make weather so massive that they could
weaponize.
They can weaponize. They could create a hurricane. They can create.
And that's always the belief that in some way, most of these research projects are either going to be used to weaponize as a defense or an offensive tool against other countries, or to like either silence or have some effect on the U.S. population. Then there was another claim that HARP was being used as a mind control technique, because of its ability to kind of seed these waves into the ionosphere and then pump them back down to the U.S. population.
Yeah.
And your brain runs on a radio wave between 6 to 11 hertz. And if you're able to manipulate that, you can make the population either riot or become basically sleepy.
And it's the same thing. They can manipulate through so many ways. Like, for instance, the water that we're drinking and tap water, there's lithium in tap water. So
did he hit me with the laser eyes again? He did. Anytime what'd he do? Anytime we talk about intelligent stuff, he gets a little laser eye.
I don't do anything. Do you drink tap water? LA tap water? Do you drink it?
I don't drink LA tap water, but what I've noticed is, well, let me first give a little background on the lithium in the water. So lithium is like a mood stabilizing ingredient that you need in your brain. It's the same as like magnesium, zinc. These are all metals that you need in your brain because your neurons are firing electricity in your brain. So like you need metals to conduct these things. And lithium is something that keeps your mood more stable. So like in treatment of a lot of bipolar cases, they give lithium carbonate, which is like a stronger version, but they also have lithium orotate, which you can take as supplements. But they did a study where places where lithium was higher in the tap water, there was 30% less homicide and suicide because your mood's like more stable. So, but it's also like they could add it, they could take it out, or it can just be what it naturally is at. So it's really interesting because it's like, oh, that's kind of like another form of mind control. If they wanted to use that, it can make everyone like very docile. If you have large amounts of lithium, it's like,
do you drink tap water?
I don't drink tap water, but I take lithium supplements. But what I've noticed is before I used to use tap water to like make coffee, tea, like put it in oatmeal, like boil it and whatever. And I was like, oh, I think I can see like a correlation between like when I would have tap water and then not. Because I used to do that every single day. And, it's like a little minuscule amount is still, but it's good for someone like me because I have like I'm traveling so much. I have like highs and lows because I'm always like up and down. Like I'm not getting sleep. I'm like getting too much sleep. You know what I mean? Like it varies. So it's an interesting thing. And then
He's got a conspiracy theory that he's always excited about. What was it again?
Oh man, the Loch Ness monster, dude. When I was in elementary school, I just picked the simplest one I could find. I heard about this giant like dinosaur archaic creature that lived in this lake in Scotland.
Yeah.
And I read a lot about it, the Loch Ness monster, and all people had been faking pictures of it. Yeah. And I was really into it for like a good decade. And then I realized I simply no longer give a fuck. And only because
it has no effect.
It doesn't affect me. And let's be honest, it's not real, guys.
Well, so
it's not real.
It's funny because
I'm sorry. Okay.
That's another one that's still that. And by the way, so and I want to preface this because this is important.
They've looked for Nessie and they haven't found him. He doesn't exist.
I don't want people to ever think like that I am one of these conspiracy theorists, because I actually have been very outspoken of Alex Jones, like against Alex Jones and other people who have these very hard set beliefs that we are heavily being targeted by the government, by like, I'm not saying we're not.
Yeah.
But I'm just not all the way there.
This picture was taken in a bathtub. It was taken in a bathtub.
That's a real life photo.
And everyone thought that this was the Loch Ness monster. Come on now, guys. No humpback camel dinosaurs swimming through Nessie Ocean.
I mean, that looks pretty real to me, dude. Look, he's smiling.
He's like,
he loves. They're like cheese. He's like, okay.
He's listening. He's listening to facts.
Looks like you guys got me.
Yeah. But so one thing, it's funny because
what's funny, Mike?
The thing is, it's like, it's not that crazy to think that there's, first of all, mutations occur. So like, there's also so much of the oceans we haven't explored. There's so many species of animals and so many things like deep in the ocean that we don't have any idea about. So like there could be something similar to that.
You saw they found the closest thing to like anything incredibly out of the ordinary was the giant squid that they caught. Mm-hmm. I forget how big it was, but did you see about
where was it?
This was
like a long time ago.
It was within the decade.
Yeah, obviously, but like
she's in the future, bro.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like I don't even remember what I did yesterday. So
yeah, this thing it was a documentary crew. I mean, look at this thing. This is that's the closest thing to any sort of like super massive aquatic creature. I don't think that's real. I think this one's real.
That's not even big.
I think that one was real. No, bro.
No, the one we have whales that are 6,000 times the size of that, literally.
No, I don't think so. These actually kill whales.
Yeah, but no.
That's how they found out. That's how they found out that there was a squid roaming around the ocean as big as this one, because they found a washed up whale with tentacle marks around the body.
But if it's that big, then how big is that man he's next to? Is that a giant? Is that Jack and the Beanstalk?
It's crazy, but I guess with conspiracies, to be honest, Chantel, I'm sort of uninterested, because why does it matter?
Well, I have a question. So what are your thoughts on aliens?
I know aliens exist.
Okay, so then, I mean, you could see why like some people obviously don't
think that. Yeah.
And also that can affect us in a large way, you know?
Hell yeah.
But how can any person tell me there's not a single ounce of life somewhere in the universe? I mean, when you think about
or the multiverse,
when you think the universe is infinite, it's ever expanding. We are just a pattern of atoms. So eventually we have to repeat. Like eventually there has to be like another version of you. And that's the thing with like parallel universes as well. It's like, okay, is there another you out there? Like they're technically, if you think infinite, the universe is infinite.
If I met another me, I'd punch him in the dick.